All right, students, I'm going to show you how to do some basic cartooning. I like to use this lesson when I begin stop motion animation to give the students and artists a feel for what it takes to actually create animation. As you can see here, we're going to use this app Piskel, which is pixelated art. It can be pretty tricky, but if you get the kind of basic notion that you're creating an image, creating a drawing, and you're going to be copying that and then moving it ever so slightly to, once put all together, it's going to give you the illusion of animation or motion. So we're going to use this app, and we're going to start small. I'm just going to do a very simple bird flying across the screen. Okay, you might want to try this with me, and then once you get a feel for everything, kind of create something a little more interesting. So when you first get here, you want to sign in before you create the sprite. And what you're going to do is use your school account, and it should pop right up here. Once you're in, I got a bunch of different things on mine. If you go to create sprite, it's going to bring up the page that we're going to use for this particular activity. Let me see if I can move this, get this out of the way. A few things that you'll notice when you come on here. You'll have where you're going to produce the work right here, the cartoon and then the animation. This will be like a preview window, and I'll show you how this works. You've got your toolbar, color palette down here, pen size, and this is really the pixels. And what a pixel is, any of you guys know anything about animation or even your TV set, those little lights that are emitted on like a screen, the little tiny dots are pixels, and all together pixels will give you the image. So for this case, you're going to find yourself kind of changing up the sizes quite a bit. So to get started, we're just going to create a static background image, because that static background image, or an image that is not going to change, that's going to be our background for our real mini cartoon. What cartoonists like to do is they'll create cartoons, but if you look in the background, nothing's moving at all. It's what's on the front or the first layer that actually gets animated, because it would take a lot of time to draw everything out, including the background. So we're just going to focus on animating, in this case, the bird across the sky as a second layer. All right, so let's get started with creating a background. To do that, there's a couple different ways you can do that. As you can see, as I change the pen size, the pixel size changes. So we're going to actually start with just creating a sky. Okay, you can either do this by kind of painting the whole background, or I'm just going to kind of paint in sections. You'll see the paint bucket right here. You'll see the pen tool. I'm going to just pick a light blue for the sky. You can do a night scene. It doesn't really matter. The colors, you don't have to pick exactly what I have. You can see this when I move the pen. I've got it the largest pixel size. I'm just going to kind of click and hold and drag and create a sky. By the way, if you mess up on this, on your keyboard, if you're looking for an undo button, you want to instead hit Control on the bottom left and Z at the same time, repeatedly, and you'll see it kind of make any corrections. By the way, if you want to see the list of keyboard shortcuts that I'm talking about, pull this up right here at the bottom, and you can see Control Z is undo, Control Y is redo. So go ahead and Control Y. There we go. Well, let me do one more layer for the sky. Even that out. Okay. By the way, I'm just using the zoom feature on my mouse to kind of zoom in and out, or the scroll wheel on my mouse rather. All right, so let's do a ground color. So let me, by the way, you'll see the colors that you just previously used. It'll come up here on the wheel. So I'm just gonna produce like maybe some grass. All right, there I've got my ground. Maybe you choose to do a tree here. Again, color wheel. Let's do like a tree trunk. I don't know, maybe this color. And let me go a little bit smaller in the pixel size. Again, if you guys are Minecraft players, you'll probably be a lot better than I am at this. And let's do some tree branches. And then maybe to give some shade, let's go a little bit darker at the base. You can play around with the shading. I don't want to waste too much time with this, but you get the idea. All right, so let's add a few other things here. We've got our tree, the ground. Let's put in some clouds. Again, feel free to kind of change your pixel size up. I'm going to just go one step a little bit higher. So let's, don't want to use a paint bucket because this is what would happen. We would paint the whole thing. Again, Control Z will undo it. We want to be on the pen tool. And let's go to white-ish. And I'm just going to draw a few clouds here. Different shapes. Let's do 3. And another one down here. Okay. If you want to shade that, you can as well. So I'm going to do that again. So let me just bring this down a little bit darker. Change the pixel size. Just kind of give it a little bit of an illusion of shading. You get the idea. So this is, again, going to be our stagnant or stationary background picture. This is not going to be what's going to be animated. So once you're, happy with your background image, and again, I'm just going to keep this really simple. You're going to actually replicate this. You're going to copy this several times, because what you're going to animate is going to go on top of this background. So once you're, again, satisfied with your image, you're going to come over here, okay, and it's going to say duplicate this frame. We want to do that at least 10 times. Now you can do as many as you want, but we're thinking if we're going to do very simple animation, you want to think you're going to move something at least 10 times, okay? And it's going to kind of all flow together. But this background is not going to change. This is just going to be our background, which we're going to animate on top of. So, of course, you can do more than 10 frames per second. And again, what we're talking about here, frames per second, this will make sense when we actually start to animate on top of this. So once we have this, our background, that's it. We're not going to do anything else to that. We're actually going to create a layer. Come back to this first one. Make sure you're clicked on here. And you're going to click here, create a layer. Okay. And you can click on that. You can see it's put a layer on top of all of the backgrounds, okay? What we're gonna do is actually animate on top of that. All right, before we continue and actually do the animation on top of this with this layer, I do want to point out that if at any time you need to kind of leave or do something else, this does not save automatically. So you want to come over here and along the right. So as you go, you kind of want to save, okay? And you want it to save to your gallery. That means to your gallery within this app here. I've got my title here. I just want to save it. And if I back out and come back into my gallery, sign back in, you should have it right here. And you can see it's right here. So we're gonna go back into this. To get back into it, you wanna just click on Edit Sprite, and it should bring you directly back in. And you can see we're gonna work from here. So on top of the background layer, which you can see in the background faintly, we're going to animate on this layer here. Okay, so now we want to actually animate something on top of this, the background layer, which is, again, you can kind of see this almost like a transparent layer. So we're just telling us that whatever we draw, that's the only thing on that page. And basically we're going to give the illusion of movement or animation. So we're going to go frame by frame and change it a little bit. So we're going to do something simple like this. So like a bird coming across the screen so you guys can get the feel for it, and then choose to, as you get better, you can animate whatever you want. So let me move this. Let me show you. So let's just have this duck flying across the screen right here, kind of entering on one side and exiting on another. So again, my drawing tools, I want the pen. I'm going to choose to use the small pixel size. Let's have it start right here. And let's draw the beak. And then back to the body a little bit. And let's have the wing kind of come down like this. Okay. Now, that's all I want to do for this, okay? For this second frame right here, I actually want to do, I want to copy this, and I want to have this in the same location when I go to this second frame. And then I'm going to make slight changes to it. So to do that, you're going to use what is called the lasso tool. So you're going to grab this or lasso it. So you just kind of put a lasso around it. It's what like a cowboy would use if they're lassoing, a cattle or whatever. And then you're going to copy this. Again, your tools are down here. Okay. So we want Control C, we want Control V. We want to copy and we want to paste that onto the next slide. So I'm going to hit Control C, and then I'm going to come over to slide 2 right here, and notice how it's keeping the same location. I'm going to hit Control V, and then bam, it's right there. Now I'm going to leave it on here as lassoed, and what I want to do is actually move it just slightly. The move tool is right here. You can also use Control Shift Alt. It's just easier to use the hand here. Now I can move this slightly over here. So now that the bird, if I go from here to here, it's moved, but I don't want the wings to do the exact same thing. So I want to have it appear as the wings are going up as it's moving to the right. So I'm actually going to just manipulate it a little bit. I'm going to use the eraser tool. So I want to make it look like the wings are going up. Okay, so I'm actually, right now you can imagine the wings are coming right out directly. Okay, this is a terrible duck, but you get the idea. Actually, I should probably go back and fix this a little bit, but there doesn't appear to be a tail on this duck. So I'm going to add that in here. So let me do that. All right, so we want to go ahead and grab the image from your second change like we did before. So we're going to use the lasso tool, grab it, and we want to put it on. Remember, you want to put this onto frame 3. So I want to hit Control C, down to 3, and Control V will paste it. But I want to move this slightly. Again, we're giving the illusion that the bird is flying across the screen. So I want to use the Move tool. And don't worry, it is selected, so you just want to move this. Let's just have it move slightly there. And then at the same time, I want it to give the illusion that it is flapping its wings up and down. Remember, so the wings started down here, they went to the middle, then I'm going to have them go up, and I'm going to kind of have them repeat that. So I'm going to click on the drawing tool, and the wings, I want the wings to appear up now. So I want them to kind of come up here like this. So I can check it. I go 1, 2, 3. You can start to see the illusion that it's moving and flapping its wings. 1, 2, 3. And another way you can kind of preview what you have, I know we don't have a lot to go on here, but still another way is right here, open preview and pop up. Now let me show you what happens when I press this. Normally you'd see your preview here, but like, why don't I see anything? It's because you have it on the background layer. So right here, this is kind of to go between the two layers. So if I click here, now I'm on that second layer. So when I hit preview, I should start to see obviously what I have, and you can see it right there. Another thing is you might want to slow down the frames per second. I have it on 10, so let's put it down to 5 to slow it. And think of each frame as each one of these windows or tabs. So now when I look at it, I can start to see a little bit slower. And it's starting to give that illusion. So let's continue with it. Again, I'm going to kind of repeat the process. Grab it. And then I want to Control C, Control V. And again, if you mess up, you can undo it. You can see I've already messed up. I'm going to move it over. Keep it on a line here. And again, I want the wings to come down. So I'm actually going to erase. Here, because now the wings, you have to imagine the wings are coming straight out at you. And let's do this. Again, let's do a couple of these. Again, once you kind of get more familiar with the tools, this becomes a lot easier. Control C. 5. Boom. Control V. Move it. And then the wings are going to be down, so I'm going to draw this. Like so. And let's kind of test this out. Starting to look good. Now you can start to see it working. And this is I've only done 5 frames here, so it's gonna look even better. I mean, you can really be detailed too on your, if you just do very slight changes, but again, it becomes pretty tedious. It's labor intensive if you're going to have it perfect. I just want to show you the basics here. Let's continue. And then let's preview it. This might be good just to get you started here. Looks pretty good. And there you go. Right, now that you're done, you want to make sure that you do save it, because if you exit out of here, any progress you'd made would be lost. So you want to go ahead and save over it. Check my information, save it to my gallery, and then it officially kind of saves it. It'll give you a little pop-up notification. There's a few things you can do to it when you get it done. I'm going to show you those. You can export it to a GIF. That's right, kids, it's pronounced GIF. Look it up. So you could create a little GIF for your web page or your avatar. Again, look at some previews as you go. Let's take a look at this panda here. This will give you an example of how much time somebody puts in and how many frames. You can see this particular person put in 38 frames to make this, and let's preview it. Over here, not resize, you want to click here, and you can start to see all the work that went into this. Very cool. But even for that, what is that, 3 seconds of work? It took 38 frames to do that. So again, cartooning and animation, definitely not an easy thing. Definitely take your time when you do this, have fun with it, but check out some of these user-created things to give you an idea, and really have fun with it. The more creative and patient you are, the better your images and ideas are going to come out. All right, now that you're done, if you want to share this out, there's a couple of different things you can do, like I said and showed you before, but I want to actually show you on the site. So again, go to Edit, and you come in. There's the save, which I've shown you before, but you have export as well. Click on this, and like you see, you have choices as a PNG, or GIF. Let's show you kind of the GIF here. The resolution, I think it defaults like really small, like 10 or 5 by 5 on the size. Let's say if it defaults at 10, you download this and it'll save it to your drive. Let me show you what it's going to look like here. It's going to be super small. You won't be able to see it. So what you want to do, come back in and change this to like 500 pixels by 500. That means the pixels actually make this up. So when you download this GIF, it should be something you can now see. And yes, there you go. And then you can share it out and have the file wherever you'd like. Okay, have fun, guys.